Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm a Tonmeister and music producer, but my main job is for Steinberg, working as instrument and sound designer in Hamburg, Germany. In the past, I worked on sample libraries and sound packs for other brands as well, like Boom Library, Sonoscore, Native Instruments, among others. At the moment, I'm developing virtual instruments, synthesizer sounds, and various audio algorithms. Next to my day job, I still work on recordings, mixings, and masterings as a freelancer. This video will be a little insight about my work and about my testimonial of the brand new speakers from Eve Audio, the SC2070. For recordings and sometimes also for mixing, I travel a lot to different studios and concert halls, mainly for the space and the acoustic environment to fit the ensemble or instrument I'm working with. All these different workplaces have one thing in common. They are completely different, and for me as an engineer, I must adapt very fast to the various circumstances. It is very luxurious to sometimes have the option to bring my own speakers, but that's not often the case. During COVID, I took the chance and time to optimize my personal studio. Goal was to get an environment that is inspiring for creating music, but also acoustically so well treated for critical listening and judging the quality of sound coming from the speaker. With the acoustical design, I tried to keep the reverberation time, especially for low frequencies, as small as possible without affecting the highs too much. Keep in mind that this is a pretty small room, so space for treatment is very limited. Also, I tried to improve the impulse response behavior, directing the first reflections away from desk and sidewalls so that they don't influence my listening position. The last years, I kept listening on my SC2070 in combination with the TS110 subwoofer, but I knew it was time for an upgrade. I switched speakers on the desk every now and then, going back to calotte tweeters, for example with the Neumann KH120, Yamaha SH8 and various Channel X speakers. But for me, spending lots of hours a day in front of computer screens and a pair of speakers with highly focused tasks, these calotte tweeters made my ears fatigue coming way too fast. I needed lots of breaks in between to refresh my ears and brain. On the one hand, it's a good thing to take regular breaks, I know, but on the other hand, if you're busy on tight schedules and have to finish things quickly, it's absolutely annoying to interrupt because of that reason. For me, this was the deal breaker to continue my search. The last 3 months, I got the chance to work with the brand new SC2070. For me, these really feel like homecoming. I get super detailed high frequencies without any harshness. Now, as the new developed air motion transformers are coupled at lower frequencies to the overall system, it improves my critical decisions in this frequency area a lot. The woofer can focus on the lower part of the spectrum and the upper mids that the woofer is still responsible for. That makes these upper mids and the area around the crossover frequency super clear and focused. This is a very critical area because our ears are very sensitive in this frequency range, and as voices, for example, are mainly in this part of the spectrum, this is a range where I focus a lot during mixing. What I especially like with all Eve AMTs compared to other tweeters, the highs aren't focused that narrow to only your listening position. As you saw on my studio pictures, I have instruments and gear all over the room. I can move the head out of the perfect sweet spot and still get the tonal and spectral balance of the mix or the sound I'm currently working on. That's, at least for me, a very important feature that lots of other speakers are lacking. It also comes very positive if you have clients, for example, and they cannot sit perfectly in the sweet spot because the room is quite small. After doing my setup and positioning, I regularly do some measurements, checking reflections, waterfall and of course the spectral balance of the speakers in combination with my room. The DSP with access from the front of the speakers via smart knob, nothing new from Eve I know, but I really enjoy this part of the setup every time. Even when I remove the measurement microphone and start listening in the sweet spot, it allows me to adjust and fine-tune my system from the front, while keeping my setup position perfectly as I intended to. No need to climb behind the desk and lose the focus during the setup. So what kind of projects did I realize on the speakers during the test time? Well, at first I had to check and fine-tune a bunch of synthesizer presets. Here, a well-balanced spectral behavior is highly appreciated, and with synths sometimes being really nasty when it comes to bass and low frequencies, It was super enjoyable to work with the SC2070 without my subwoofer, as they provided the right amount that was coming from the synth without coloring the audio. As this task takes hours and days, I was super impressed how well the speakers did and how easy it was to judge and improve the sound design, which was in this case done mainly by other sound designers and not by myself. The second big project in my test period has been an orchestral mixing. I got various stems from a recording with the goal to get the most out of it. I have been overwhelmed how detailed I was able to make improvements on the depth of the orchestra recording and the overall sound reproduction, what made me really happy. Not only me, the client was also very impressed by the mix, as he heard the orchestra now like he was sitting at the conductor's place and could reach every musician without having the impression of the sound coming from a pair of speakers in front of him. Third and last project before Christmas last year has been completely different. I worked on an instrumental hip-hop mix. This required lots of lows, but also a transient reproduction that helps to dial in the right amount of saturation and compression. After listening to my work on various other reference systems, but also consumer devices, I realized that the SC2070s are the perfect speakers to complement my personal reference home studio environment. They are the perfect compromise in size and space required for. I'm very limited in this, as you've seen. And with small listening distances, they behave spectrally super well balanced when listening critical, either with low or high levels of volume. I do see potential to improve the performance of those speakers in my studio even further by working on a more proper decoupling solution on my desk. As the SC2070 deliver way more low frequencies than my previous smaller main pairs, I will need more mass and a more sturdy underground on my desk. I hope you enjoyed my little testimonial, and I highly recommend giving these brand new speakers a listen, as they fill a certain gap for a truly professional and reliable audio reproduction in mid-sized control and listening environments like mine.